Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley. We're going to be talking soccer and tennis over the course of the next half hour, 40 minutes or so. Nigel, together again on the live show.
Hello.
I mean, I know that we discussed on the Premier League show that you do have your favourites in the team. Am I back in favour?
Well, the reason why I said that is because yesterday I came home from an afternoon out, and there was a big package, and it was a stellar draft kit sent to me as a thank you from Jack Wright for all the work. He didn't have to thank me; I should be sending him a present.
What a
But I'm still waiting for Dan Roebuck to send me anything. And I've known you, Dan, for what we must have known each other now for 30 odd years. I don't think I've ever got nothing. Always the first to get the invoice in. Always the first to get the invoice in. Always the first on the invoice. He's a taker, Mr. Rome, not give. No, honestly, no. Very nice. Didn't have to do that. But it was a nice present. No, it's a team effort. This channel. That's what it's all about.
Very good morning to Rick, to Byron, to Danielle and Steve as well. If you are joining us, let us know what you're betting today. We're talking tennis with Nigel shortly. We've got some Swedish advice from Steve. We lean on our friends when it comes to the Swedish action. I'll be pointing in the right direction, I hope, when it comes to some German and Dutch football as well. Some really big plays, some big bets when it comes to the soccer over the course of the last 24 hours. I think some of the Brazilian Cup action was going on. Corinthians, a live double chance play, minus 500. I mean, very, very short odds, but $40,000. These are the big hitters that were out when it came to the Brazilian football last night. Also, $28,000 play on a Fluminense under 1.5 goals line at a very short price, which was a loser. In terms of the Europa League action last night, really enjoyed the show, Nigel. We had that betcast, Spurs against Manchester United. I think generally the boys were on the right side of the results because Tottenham was sort of tipped up. I believe we had a $10,000 play on the over 1.5 goals, which was a loser. $7,500 play, Tottenham under 1.5 goals, which was a winner. United were bet as well, a $5,000 play as well. Also on the money line, a $5,000 play. I mean, it was an odd betting event ahead of the action, Nigel, because there was money for United, but I know that James was quite sweet on Spurs, so hopefully we cashed a few tickets on the betcast last night.
Yeah, we did all right. All of us won in Tottenham plus 3/4 a goal. I mean, the market price was a ludicrous price, really, and we thought it was a genuine 50-50 call. And on the evidence of the match, it probably was a 50-50 call. One mistake led to the goal. It was a match that we won't go down in the history as one of the greatest European Cup finals. But we said on the show, when you've got these two nations playing from the same country, it's two teams from the same country playing each other, then they don't usually live up to the expectation. But Tottenham fans won't care about that. It was a win. Cashing tickets. I had a little bit on Brennan Johnson to be the first goal scorer, which cashed as well. Not an official play. It was just we had a competition on the channel, and we asked people who would be the first goal scorer, and he was my pick. So, but all of us were all in the Tottenham camp. So. But it was great to do the betcast. I love doing these betcasts, and I think a lot of people quite like watching them. A lot of the feedback we had was excellent. A lot of comments, a lot of people in there giving their picks, a lot of conversation going on. But it's very hard when you've got one game and it's not very exciting. At the weekend when we do the Premier League one, we've got 10 matches and hopefully lots of goals going in. It'll be a little bit more exciting. So it was a good night. A lot of people enjoyed it, and congratulations to Tottenham. And we were all on Tottenham last night, so it was a good night for Tottenham bettors.
Umberlelo Charles says, good day, everyone. Great, sir. So just got through the first 15 minutes of the Premier League show. Had to flip to this. Dan, you've got to look after the boss. Don't worry. I will do. Ranjiv Singh says, good morning, guys. Yeah. What a day to be a Spurs fan. Partying for a few days ahead. Cheers. Byron Morrill says, goals. Heidenheim, X1, says SW. That's the Bundesliga a relegation promotion game. It's an interesting one, isn't it? That we'll get onto it shortly. Byron says first half under 1.25 was a partial, but over 5.5 cards cashed in the game last night. Lots of live streams for you. Hammarby against Mjällby and also Malmo against AIK. I've got Steve's thoughts on that Malmo game, so I'll rattle through his thoughts a little bit later in the show. Also some Swiss Super League relegation playoff fixtures that are going to be shown live on the BetRivers app and the BetRivers site. And there's plenty of WTA and ATP action as well. Kalinskaya against Collins in Strasbourg. Muller against Auger-Aliassime in Hamburg. Arnaldi against Djokovic, Geneva. And also Popyrin against Norrie, Geneva. All streamed live on the site. Just a little bit more fallout, Nigel, regarding the Spurs win against Manchester United. A lot of United fans obviously hurting today. And I just thought I'd have a look at the Premier League odds for next season. And United are trading 25-33 to 1. same sort of price as Villa, a little bit shorter. I mean, I thought initially that Amorim might turn it around. Now I'm thinking if he's still there at the start of the season, and the way that the bookmakers price these things up, and you'll know this, the match bets here are going to be United versus Villa, United versus Tottenham. I mean, you just want to fade United forever, don't you? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think they're a shorter price to get relegated than they are to.
Mad,
I saw 16-1 for them to be relegated. I'd rather bet they're relegated than win the title. I mean, realistic, but they do have the capability of bringing big name players in, and they do have a team that could.
No Champions League football.
I think they could bring.
Knocking on their door.
Kuna will bloke though, no many Wolves. They look with Delap, the striker from Ipswich. I think they're going to make 2 or 3 signings. They'll have to sell a few players as well, but really to get rid of some of the deadwood they've got and bring in some new, fresh talent is not a bad thing. They're stuck with Amorim, aren't they? Because I just don't see how they can attract a big name boss. Is there big name bosses anymore, or they're all in decent jobs? Who are you going to get? There's not many people out there that would want to come to this Manchester United side, the state they are in at the moment. You've got to go for a young manager who's inexperienced, which hasn't worked before, or you stick with Amorim. They'll stick with Amorim. The only other person who's out there who has been linked with him before is Gareth Southgate, and he was the favourite to be the next Manchester United manager. Would Man United fans want Gareth Southgate to be their manager? I mean, it will be worse than what it was last night, pretty much week on week. They're a club in transition. They've been a club in transition for years and years and years. They're not going to win the Premier League. They're not going to get relegated, but they will improve from where they were this season. That's a no-brainer. They'll improve on that. And they've got to win something. We've got to remember this is a club that is used to winning, even when they're not doing well. They won the FA Cup a couple of years ago against last season against Manchester City. They don't want silverware, and I think they're a club now that no, they can't win the Premier League, so the League Cup and the FA Cup become priorities for them because they've got to win something. And but to win the title, get those match odds, if you're getting those kind of things, I think they're on a level now of a Brentford. I think they're on the same level as a Fulham.
But
that's their level, isn't it?
If this is what I'm saying, I look at the outright odds, and when the match prices are going to come out, the head-to-head for the whole season match bets, if they price that up on the outright odds, you can basically have Villa against United, Spurs against United, Forest against United, all plus money. And at first, it's interesting because we a lot of the time when we do the Premier League show, we'll say things like, well, if the season started in December, Palace would be 4th, Wolves would be 5th, and so on and so forth. And my angle was going to be, well, I'll tell you what, when that comes around again in August and it's Man United versus Wolves, I'll take United all day long. But you know what? Not anymore. They are a listless team, aren't they? Now, I mean, I hope that they price it up as the outright suggests that they do. But I guess we'll wait and see, Nigel. But you'd want to fade them against.
Well, yeah, I think Aston Villa against them would be the obvious one. I mean, Nottingham Forest will definitely go backwards on last year, especially if they've got European football as well. Their squad isn't big enough. I think they'll regress. But if you can get Aston Villa with them as a 50-50 call, then that's just beautiful game. It's a beautiful bet.
It's mad, isn't it? Well, United are 33s for the title and Villa are 40s. So, ergo, a match price is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens in August. Obviously, we'll be across it for you. What have we got from our commenters here? Byron says, like Heidenheim, over 1.5 goals at plus 108. Graza said, I'd lay United all day. Their recruitment has been terrible. Takes several windows to wash through. I mean, this is the situation with the transfer window. I mean, obviously, Spurs are going to be looking for players. They might want to jettison 1 or 2 players. United need full-backs. They need wing-backs. I mean, when you look
at striker. Harry Maguire is the striker. I mean, they're talking about...
But they like the way that he plays. He like the Spurs wing back Udogie. I mean, to a certain extent, you can see Amorim turning around and saying, "How much is Udogie in the window?" It could be.
Here we go. That's the best gag of the season. That is the best gag of the whole season. Now, actually, do you know what? We had a few people watching. I saw that as soon as you said it's gone down by 4. 4 people have had enough. They've gone off already. Unbelievable. No, I think they'll buy attacking players. Delap,
yeah, you're right.
He'll be the number 1 target. Get a goal scorer, get a 25 goal scorer a season, then you've got half a chance of doing well.
Yeah, have a look at Bet Riverside. Got some interesting transfer markets priced up for you. A says, yesterday was a great day for me. I backed Spurs and Collins to beat Raducanu. They're only a single bets. Duarte says, I'm biased because I'm Portuguese. I would give a chance to Amorim. His first season in Sporting was just as bad as this one. Interesting, good knowledge. But then he transformed the club. RHM says Sweden Superettan Eredivisie tonight. Yeah, we'll get to that shortly. Not the Scottish playoffs, not my 40. Ace has also backed the Pacers to win in the NBA last night. Don't forget, lots of basketball chat coming up a little bit later on with the Fast Break show. In terms of what we've got for you football-wise tonight, soccer-wise tonight, there is a big match in Germany. It's the Bundesliga relegation promotion playoff. Basically, it's the first leg. The return is on Monday. It is the team that finished in 16th in the Bundesliga against the team that finished third in the second tier. So it's Heidenheim against Elversberg. As you can see, Heidenheim are plus 118 to grab a first leg lead in the 90 minutes with Elversberg 2-1. Elversberg are an interesting side. They were playing fourth tier football just 4 years ago. It's been a meteoric rise. They've not got a lot of money behind them, but they are extremely well run. Bernd Hoof, who is the mayor of Spies and Elversberg, has basically said that the city would build a balcony in the town hall for the celebrations in the event of Elversberg getting promoted to the Bundesliga. Never played top flight football before. There's no town hall balcony at the minute. We don't have one. We would have to build one, but we would do that if we got promoted.
Amazing.
So we'll see what happens.
When they were in the fourth division, everyone thought they were caught in a trap and they just couldn't get out of it. It's Elversberg. But now they're in it. They are getting the jokes in as well with the donkey in the window. They couldn't get out of it. But it's an incredible story, though, isn't it? Really, seriously, from the fourth division up to the blinks of the Bundesliga. What a massive, massive match. And one thing you're going to come on the bets. You're the man who's done all the research on this stuff. But I love the idea of this playoff thing. I think they'd be really good.
Well, they had it in the Premier League, didn't they? Very briefly. Yeah.
I think we should continue it. But I think it's a good idea, a great idea. And I think it's the way it should be done. But what is the record? You'll probably know more. Is the team that the Bundesliga side has a better record than the team in the, historically there must be some kind of advantage to the ones coming up. I would think, the gap between the Premier League, I'm only can refer to the gap between the Premier League and the Championship. If the team that finished third from bottom in the Premier League played the team that finished fourth or third in the Championship, I think that you want to be betting the Premier League side pretty much blind every single time, because you look at when the teams come into the Championship, they virtually all go back down the following season anyway. All three this season have gone down. The gap is so big. So I'd like to know that was happening. Let me know.
Well, here we go. Top tier clubs have won 11 of the last 12 relegation promotion playoffs. So that just buys into exactly what you've said there. Only Union Berlin in 2019 in the last dozen playoffs have been a second tier side that have won. So, we think the gap is big in England. It's pretty big in Germany as well. And you've got some unfashionable clubs like Elversberg. You've got to remember Heidenheim as well qualified for Europe last season. They got knocked out in the Conference League playoff round. And when they were in Europe, they were in the bottom two of the Bundesliga. They managed to climb outside of it, but are still involved in this relegation playoff. The thing is, there are some trends to follow here. And an interesting one, and this is counterintuitive to what we've just been talking about, but the second tier side have avoided defeat in the first leg, and the first leg is always played at the Bundesliga team, and with a second leg to the second tier side. So all playing away from home in 5 of the last 6 playoffs and 8 of the last 12. For some unknown reason, they seem to fall apart in front of their own fans. We've seen that so often over the course of the last decade. The last 5 first legs have all both teams to score no, and only 5 of the last 12 have gone over 2.5, so it can be a little bit cagey. Head-to-heads, they haven't played for over a decade, so it's pretty irrelevant. So the 3 trend picks really here, you would suggest in this first leg, Elversberg, quarter ball handicap at minus 118, draw gives you the half win. Both teams to score no, plus 112, and under 2.5 at minus 113. Of those 3, I would suggest both teams to score no is probably the best of the 3. The interesting thing about Elversberg is that they've scored 64, second top scorers in the Bundesliga, second tier Bundesliga this season, but their expected goals number is 52.16. They have overachieved in front of goals.
Amazing though that you say that the way teams do so well, but then the Bundesliga teams get through all the time.
I was looking at it earlier on today, and I just thought, well, this is an interesting stat, and it's more than a decade's worth of data, so you can start to take it a bit more seriously. And away from home, they've failed to score in 6 of 17 in the second tier, Elversberg, which is a big number for a side that finished third in the league. So both teams to score no is going to be the play here, plus 112. It's the biggest of those three trend picks. In terms of what you guys are thinking here, Effie says over 2.5 Heidenheim. Elversberg are a very dangerous team this season, so he's going for overs. I'm going to go both teams to score no. In terms of where the money's been going for this match, money line 87% of the money, 89% of the tickets on Heidenheim, and 92% of the money, 90% of the tickets on over. So it's sort of going against recent trends when it comes to those two particular bets. But I'm going to play both teams to score no in that one. Good luck wherever you're playing here. Let us know in the comments. That's the first bit of soccer we've got for you. The second, RHM says Heidenheim to win and under 4.5. Wish you well with that one. First tennis we're going to talk about, Nigel, is the French Open. And we've got the outrights just to take a brief look at here. Now, obviously, you're going to be covering this a little bit further down the line with Sean and Game Bet and Match. But is it the draw that's just come out today or just about to come out? What's the situation in the French
the draw's
Open?
been made about 2 or 3 hours ago, and we're going to be covering this on Game Bet Match tomorrow, looking at the outright market and looking at the first round matches as well, and also on the WTA show with Rory as well. So we've got 4 shows coming this weekend on the French Open, the second major of the year. And the draw is an interesting draw. It really is. I mean, in the men's draw, Jannik Sinner's been given a fairly difficult draw. In my opinion, so Carlos Alcaraz is given a much fairer task in that fourth quarter, the bottom of the quarter. So no surprise to see Alcaraz shortening up in the betting to plus 110. Jannik Sinner is 2-1. Sinner will probably get through to the last 16, last 32. Then he'll play Davidovich for Kina potentially. Then Artur Fils or Rublev, and then probably Mensik or Fonseca. And then he'll have to play Zverev or Djokovic before he even gets to the final. So that's quite a difficult route for Jannik Sinner. And obviously last week, Jannik Sinner was absolutely blitzed by Carlos Alcaraz in Rome. As a way of outsiders, just the first look for me, I think Q3 looks fairly easy. In there, you've got Taylor Fritz, who's the number 4 seed, and everybody wanted to be in that, where the Taylor Fritz wanted to be. That is where you wanted to be if you got, because he's probably the weakest major seed on the clay court. So the first person I thought there who had a favourable draw was Lorenzo Musetti at 25-1. So that's the draw just come out. And we're going to break it down into more detail. I mean, Sean's going to give his picks. He's working on it now. We're going to have the show tomorrow. So, but my first impression of the draw, very difficult draw for Jannik Sinner. Fairly comfortable one for Carlos Alcaraz, the defending champion, who is in great form after winning Rome, full of confidence after beating Sinner in that final. And Lorenzo Musetti, who has had a great clay court year in Q3, is someone at a big price at 25-1 that I think potentially has had a decent draw. But really, it is what you expect the men's draw. There's difficult games all the way. But the women's draw, well, that has just been something else in the last couple of hours, what's happened in that women's draw.
I'm going to show you the women's prices in just a second, just to let our viewers and listeners know here. In terms of early wagers on the French Open men's, Jannik Sinner, $1,600 play, 2-1. Stefanos Tsitsipas, big price 60-1, just $250 there. So there's 1 or 2 early sort of moves, and obviously the bookie's not particularly well developed at the moment. But most wagers on players early on, Alcaraz takes out 33% of the handle, Sinner 17%. We expect it, Nigel, probably to change when we get a little bit closer to the action as well. And most popular at the minute, Alcaraz and Sinner 48%, 18%. But as the draw has only just come out, obviously that will start to sort of take shape over the course of the next few days. I would have thought. Yeah,
people just bet somebody when they have a big win in the tours before, and then people have, but the serious money comes when the draw's out. I mean, I never bet any. I sometimes occasionally have a little bit of someone. If someone's doing really well under the radar at a price, I bet them. But when the draw comes out, and I'll have some serious wagers, and I've had a couple of bets today on this women's draw, because this women's draw is definitely where the value is, definitely.
Well, this is where the prices for the women's French Open as it stands at the moment. Draw has been made. You can see Sabalenka plus 240, Swiatek at plus 275, Coco Gauff at 5-1, Andreeva plus 650, and then double figures or plus 1200 or bigger brings in Yasmin Paolini here. What are your thoughts then on the French now? If you say that the draw's been interesting.
Mate, the top half of this draw is absolutely loaded, stacked. You've got to be in the bottom half of the draw, and you've got to take the each way about some players in the bottom half of the draw, because the top half is absolutely stacked. Iga Swiatek has been given the worst possible draw she can possibly have. She's she's a player that isn't in great form, but her route is really hard. She starts off against Shramkova, then she'll play Raducanu, then she'll play Kostyuk. I mean, this girl is a real serious player, Marta Kostyuk, who could easily beat her in round 3. Then she'll run into Ostapenko, who's got a brilliant record against her. Then possibly Paolini, who just won in Rome. And then in the semi-finals, Zabalenka or the Olympic champion Zheng, who beat her at Roland Garros in the Olympics last year. That's before she even gets to the final. So the plus 275 on Iga Swiatek, I mean, I would not touch that with anyone's money. She's got a very, very tough route. You couldn't, and she's not in great form. She's in absolutely awful form. For her to turn it around will be her form and come through that draw will be the greatest achievement of her career. She was minus 250 to win the French Open 6 weeks ago. Now she's plus 275, and she's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Sabalenka is also in that draw, as I said there, in the top half of the draw. But also you've got Zheng, the Olympic champion, Paolini, Svitolina, Ostapenko. You've got some really, really dangerous opponents. Anisimova who can play here. Osorio, non-seeded player. Magdalene is a good player. Danielle Collins. You've got Rybakina. You've got Bencic. I mean, it is absolutely stacked at the top half of the draw. And honestly, it's just impossible to really have any bet on anybody who's come through. And the other thing about when you've got a difficult draw in the top half of the draw is that people could, when they get to the final and they could have played long, tough matches, they're usually absolutely exhausted. And you want to get with the person who's come through an easier section in the final. And that is definitely where the bottom half of the draw. If you compare the top to the bottom, it's like chalk and cheese. And really, the two standouts here, just from the minute of the draw, and they're being bet massively. I mean, when the draw came out, Mira Andreeva was plus 750 with Bet Rivers. I think she's now down to plus 650. Either that is a bet that she won't be 650 by the time we record the show tomorrow. She's got an absolute peach of a draw. I can't see her not getting to the semi-finals. And really, again, if you look at Q4, it's American dominated. The 3 main seeds in Q4 are all American: Madison Keys, Emma Navarro, and Coco Gauff. And you wouldn't, you could. Coco Gauff has got another dream draw. So I think there's going to be a showdown between Andreeva and Gauff. And if you can get plus 650 and $5 on those two, bet them both each way. I can't see how one of those players doesn't get to the final. I think Mira Andreeva at plus 650 is the bet right now as we stand. But you've got to get the each way value against those top two all those players in the top half of the draw. The top half is absolutely stacked. The route to the final for these players it is very, very easy. Andreeva doesn't really run into any tests until the last 16, where she played Badosa, who isn't fit. Then in the quarterfinal, she plays Mukova or Onjabeur potentially, or Jess Pekler, who can't play on this surface. I mean, she'll be minus 600, minus 700 to beat any of them. And then that's her route to the semi-finals. I mean, I can't see how she can't get to the semi-finals, Andreeva. Got to remember, she's won 2 1,000 events this year, and at plus 650 right in this moment now, that price with Bet Rivers is the best price in the land for Andreeva. I've bet her at plus 650 about an hour ago, and I'm surprised it'll be. I think by the time we stop, we record tomorrow, she'll be down to about a point lower than that, plus 550. So Andreeva is the value. Gauff has obviously got another good draw, but the top half stacked. Swiatek will, if she won this, that'd be the greatest achievement of her career.
Well, Andreeva has been bet with Bet Rivers, obviously, before the draw at plus $900,000. So well done if you managed to grab a little bit of that, but still some value, as Nigel suggests as well, when it comes to the French Open. Again, the market's not formed in terms of the handle, but Swiatek takes out quite a large percentage of the book. That will change, as Nigel has just explained, the most popular when it comes to the handle and indeed total amount of tickets. Andreeva, though, has been proved popular, and that's only going to get more popular. You would have thought, taking 10% out the handle at the moment. Obviously, much more to come when it comes to the French Open. When can we expect the shows out, Nigel, for the next Grand Slam?
Yeah, the tournament winners shows will be out tomorrow afternoon. So the men's and the women's winners, and then on Saturday we're recording the best bets on round 1. So it's going to be a bumper shows all the way through the weekend on those. So 4 shows will be with you before the action starts in Paris on Sunday.
Great stuff. More tennis from Nigel shortly. We've got some bets specifically for today for you. Likewise, we've got some thoughts on the Dutch and the Swedish action. I'll give you Steve's thoughts on the Swedish football shortly. But just in terms of the Dutch, these are the Eredivisie playoffs, and what would happen here with these two sides. AZ against Heerenveen and Twente against Nijmegen. They will meet in the final for a place in the Conference League and a European spot. That's basically up for grabs when it comes to these particular games. AZ Heerenveen, an interesting one. It's 5th versus 9th, separated by 14 points in the league. AZ have been in the better form at the end of the season. Heerenveen really inconsistent, but they did beat Feyenoord, who were on a really good run on the last day to sneak into the playoffs. And the big key piece of team news here is that Troy Parrott is absent for AZ. He was a Spurs junior, got 14 goals this season. He scored in the cup final. They were beaten by Go Ahead Eagles, but he hasn't played since. He's missed about a month of soccer, and I don't think he's going to play, and it might just open it up for Heerenveen. They've got a shocking away record, including getting beaten at AZ 9-1 back in September. But Nigel always has a theory about teams that get hammered. It's usually the next week, but I don't think it's going to be a 9-1 hammering here. I think you can take a little bit of a fly with Heerenveen at plus 125 on the Asian line at plus 105. Interestingly, Heerenveen's main keeper, Andries Noppert, is out, but their replacement, Mickey van der Hart's got a much better record. They've sort of swapped and changed over the course of the season. Van der Hart's got a better save percentage than Noppert, so that might actually be a bit of a plus. In terms of where the money's been going, 93% of the money, 94% of the tickets on AZ, most of the money on overs as well. Heerenveen have got a shocking away record. Both teams to score us here in each of AZ's last 4 Eredivisie night matches. But I think that Heerenveen might just be able to keep the score down. They might not get through to the final, but I'm going to take them on that 1.25 Asian line. And as regards the Twente NEC game, this is another one where you've got the higher placed team that hasn't been in brilliant form, 6th against 8th at the end of the regular season, but in the 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 match form tables, NEC Nijmegen have been the better side. So they finished the season a lot better than Twente. And Nijmegen did beat Ajax when they were top of the table 3-0 recently. Twente lost the last 2 running into the playoffs as well. And they're without their first choice keeper. Their reserve keeper's a shocking keeper. Semishwav Titan used to play for FC Cincinnati a few years ago. He's only played 6 times this season. He's only been on the winning side once and he's conceded 15 goals. So that's a bit of a downgrade. The only other thing as well I'd mention on that game is that Sem Stein is the top goal scorer in the Eredivisie this season. For those looking at him to grab the first goal or any-time goal scorer, he's plus 108. He's only scored 1 in his last 6. His head's been turned. He's going to sign for Feyenoord next season, around about a 10 million euro deal, and his form has dropped off. So if you're looking at Stein,
I want to go to Rotterdam, mate. You don't want to go to Rotterdam.
Well, this is it, exactly.
I want to go there,
this
mate.
Is it. And again, I just think at NEC or tie, so you get the half ball Asian handicap at plus 112. I'm backing the 2 outsiders today on the Asian line. That'll be my 2 cents worth when it comes to the Dutch football. And when it comes to the Swedish action, we have lent on Steve Wiss for this one. As you can see, it's Malmo against AIK. These are his words. 2 of the biggest teams in Swedish football, long-standing rivalry. 3 of the last 4 meetings have ended 0-0. There's usually a lively crowd with these 2 as well, Steve suggests. AIK will line up with a back 5. Defensive-minded manager. Draw is good for them. Under 2.25 goals has to be the play at minus 107. And the 0-0 detector that Nigel put in storage on the Premier League show, because we know there's goals coming in the Premier League, might have to come out here. If Malmo show their champions class, they will take a 1-0 scoreline. Under 2.25 goals, Steve's pick for that one. And the Hammarby game, Nahir Becerra, best player on the field. He's worth considering. Anytime goal scorer at plus 180. We've not got the graphic for that, but Hammarby against Mjällby, anytime goal scorer. Have a look at Nahir Becerra at plus 180. Those are the picks from our good friend Steve. SW says corners 9.5 on the Malmo game, question mark. Well, if Steve's watching, he might be able to answer that. I don't know. Effie says Malmo on the money line and over 2.5 goals. Effie's put some good picks on the YouTube channel recently for us. Hammarby both teams to score, but odds are not very good, says Nish. Got to try the Asian line. That's the soccer. We have got some picks from Nigel when it comes to the tennis that are imminent. Geneva, Nigel, do you want to go to first here? Where do you want to go?
I'd love to go there. I was there this time last year, Dan, going along the lake on the little taxi that goes from one side of the lake to the other. Beautiful place if you ever get the chance to go. Have you been to Geneva?
I've never been to Geneva.
Very nice place.
Never
I'm going to give you a bet, actually. I have got some bets,
on.
but the first bet I'm going to give you is actually in a bet we haven't got a graphic for, because the
Right,
reason why there's been a rain delay over in Geneva and the matches are run a little bit late. And there's a match due to start in about 10 minutes, but I reckon it'll probably be about another 15, 20 minutes. It's the match between Fritz and Hubert Hurkacz, two big servers over in Geneva. And this is quite a quick clay surface. So it would, most of the clay court sorts are quite slow, but this one's quite quick, so it should suit both of the players. Hurkacz has had a bit of an injury concerns coming into this tournament. Fritz has had an awful year, not playing at all well, but they're both big servers, and hence the reason why the total games here is 23.5. It's a high number for if you're looking at a clay court match to get the 23.5. Usually about 21.5, 22.5 is a pretty high number, but 23.5 is a high number for a clay court game. But what I like here is I like over 10.5 in set number one, over 10.5 games in set number one, because I think Hurkacz will be competitive set number one. As the game goes on, he might tire, his physicality might wear down, and Fritz will get the better of him in the second set. If we look at their head-to-head between the two of them, they played 6 times previously, 5-1 Taylor Fritz has won. There's been 6 tie breaks in 13 sets. You can see there's a lot of tie breaks when these two play. And if you look at the total games makeup in their matches, so what the total games ended, all of these are best of 3 set matches. 36, 25, 26, 25, 21, 23. So you can see there's been a lot of long matches between the two of them. But the bet here is the first set to be over 10.5 games. It's plus 150 with Bet Rivers. I think that's a really nice price, because if you look at the stats between the two of them, 13 sets of tennis they played, 9 of them out of the 13 you would have cashed on over 10.5 games out of 13 sets. They're both big servers. This court isn't as slow as most clay courts are before. And the last time and the only time they played on clay, which was a quick surface in Madrid last year, it was a 7-6 first set. And it was 7-6 as well when they played in the United Cup. And it was 7-6 as well when they played. So 3 of the last 4 matches between these two, 7-6 has been the score in the opening set. So I think first set overs, over 10.5 is the bet. On the first match, I would have put it on the graphic, but I thought it would have started by now. Because there's been a bit of rain around, we can go straight into 8 minutes. So yeah, over 10.5, set number 1, Fritz up against Hurkacz. Okay, let's move on to the games we do have the graphic on. And we've got
Geneva first?
Yes, 100%. Arnaldi against Djokovic. Now, Djokovic, I mean, he's had injury problems. He's come back from a long layoff. He won yesterday, but he was far from convincing, and they were working on again on a foot injury he had. He plays a player in Arnaldi who has beaten him and beaten him this year. They only met once before, and he beat him in Madrid not so long ago. It was only a couple of about 6 or 7 weeks ago now. Arnaldi won easy, 6-3, 6-4 on that occasion. And I am not convinced at all by Novak Djokovic at this present version. Novak Djokovic only turns up for the majors. I know he's bidding to win his 100th ATP Tour crown, and he want, I'd like him to win it there. But last year was at this tournament. Nobody expecting to be in this tournament. He got through to the semi-finals, just went through the gears, but then he went to, with a couple of match practices under his belt, and went to Roland Garros and was an early casualty. I got a feeling here Arnaldi will give him a match. There has been some money for Arnaldi. He did open up at plus 330. He has now moved into the current line of around about plus 250, which is a little bit too low for me. I think you've got that early value. But I think this is Arnaldi on the handicap here, spread -1, -3.5. I quite like it, -103. I also think 2 sets to 1 potentially for Djokovic here at plus 260. I don't think Djokovic is going to have it all his own way. But I wouldn't bet Arnaldi at plus 250. There was a lot of money for him during the day. Now the money, as the build-up's come to it, has gone a little bit in favour of Djokovic, and people are starting to bet Novak Djokovic here. But Novak Djokovic, would he really want to go deep in his tournament when he's 30? It's his birthday today as well. He's 38 years of age today. So he's got a nice big cake at home. The family are over. He can't eat it for his birthday. He doesn't want to be there. So I think that I think Arnaldi will push him close today, and he beat him very, very easily last time they met. So that's the match there. That starts in about 1 o'clock Eastern time, so a little bit later on today. Arnaldi against Djokovic. What was the other? I can't remember the other match.
Another Geneva.
Oh, Popyrin against Cam Norrie.
That's the later Geneva game.
Well, this is interesting. I think I thought that Cam Norrie might have a chance here, but Cam Norrie's just been drawn to play Daniel Medvedev in the draw for the French Open. So that's got to be on his mind. I think that might be on his mind. He's got a seed, big match at the French Open. Does he really want to go through a long match here? Does he really want to put it all in a 250 when he's got a chance to play Medvedev on a show court in Paris? And he's got an opportunity to beat Medvedev. Cam Norrie's no gimme on clay, and Medvedev's not having the best season. So Cam Norrie, I did quite like, but now that draw's come out and he's got to play Medvedev probably on Monday, essentially it could be Sunday. Does he really want to go deep here? So I'd probably swerve this one. Norrie has been bet, but at -103 with that draw, I wouldn't be doing that as well. So not for me on that one.
Nish, let's hope Roland Garros has slowed down a lot. Talking about Roland Garros, also saying 2-1 the best option. Nigel talking about that Djokovic game. Grosser says, is this Fugovic didn't do us any favours yesterday? Nish, another handicap. He's decent. Novak on a major comeback streak now. And Steadybet says Joker has some work done on his foot yesterday in play. I like Arnaldi on the handicap. We've got games in Hamburg and Strasbourg to talk about. Where do you want to go next, Nigel?
We go to Hamburg. Another place. Felix Auger-Aliassime against Alexandre Muller. Auger-Aliassime is a heavy favourite, -220 here. Muller's +175. Really, I wouldn't trust either of these two players on clay. Again, the over 10.5, which cashes a lot of times in Felix Auger-Aliassime matches. Felix Auger-Aliassime has played a lot of matches over 10.5, and I think that would be my angle here. That is +210 over 10.5 here for that match, which I think is a little bit of a big price. They have met twice before. It's one win apiece, but they were a long time ago. One is in 2018 and one was in 2024 where Muller won 6-3, 6-2. No real relevance into that, but Auger-Aliassime has only won 2 of his 6 matches on clay this year, but both of them in this tournament, and both of them he's done well. He beat Altmaier and he beat Petchi Perregard. But I think this is the two players who can serve well again, and over 10.5 here at +210 will be a small lean, not an official bet. The one I really like is in the first match, Hurkacz against Fritz. And on the women's match, we have one women's match, which is in Strasbourg. We have Danielle Collins yesterday, who beat Emma Raducanu up against Kalinskaya, who had a good win as well over Jess Pegula. Collins didn't play that well yesterday. I didn't think she played at all well. Raducanu had an injury time out. She didn't look the same again. And I thought Collins could be quite vulnerable here. I was very surprised to see the prices. I was very surprised to see Bet Rivers give us the price that we can get on the Kalinskaya at +145. I thought that was a big price. Again, I like her on the handicap here, 3.5, but you've got to go down to -127. But the 2 times they played previously, both of them gone the distance. They've both gone 2-1. It could be a long match this year, but both of them were won by Collins. They played in Australian Open in 2023. It was 7-5, 5-7, 6-4. And they played in Austin where Collins lost the first set 6-3 and then came back and won 6-2, 6-1. But I think Kalinskaya has got a chance here at +145. Both of them on their season average so far on the clay. There's not much really between the two of them. 5 wins from 3 losses for Kalinskaya, 6 wins and 2 losses from Collins. But Kalinskaya, I believe, had a big win against Pegula, against the American. And I think at +145, she could cause a shock here as well. But my main play definitely is the over 10.5 in that first set in the Fritz match against Hurkacz.
Lovely. And that's starting in around, well, it's just been pushed back. I'm looking at the Bet Rivers website, around about 11:50 Eastern. So look, imminently get your bets down for that one. Just one question from Nish. I think you talked about it anyway, but Nish says, Nigel, I don't know if Nish was with us for it. Do you think Novak will want to go deep here with Roland Garros next week? You suggested that's a question.
It's a difficult one for him because realistically, he might say he can win the French Open, but I don't think he can win the French Open. I don't think you'll see Novak Djokovic ever win a major again, especially over 5 sets on clay. I think it's the peak Novak Djokovic found it hard. I don't think he can compete with Alkmaar and Sinner anymore over 5 sets. So it's a difficult one for him because he's got 99 career titles. So he's got a 250 here, which is the lowest ranking of the whole tournament. So he could get that 100th title here. And that's a difficult one to say. Personally, I don't think he'll care about this tournament. I think he'd want to just get to the semi-finals, quarterfinals, get some match practice in, go and give it his best in what potentially could be his final Roland Garros. But there is an incentive for him winning 100 tournaments. So that's the way I see.
Good stuff. Nish definitely agrees with that one. Look, that wraps it up for today. But I think the Premier League and the European show, Nigel, are out already, aren't they?
Both out now live now. So you've got your hours of entertainment to watch the shows. You've got the Premier League show kind of final, some massive hot dogs, some massive same game parlays. I don't know if the boys in the European League have gone the same, or they've gone and played it safe a little bit. The European League.
They've gone relatively safe, I think, as memory calls.
Yeah.
They're 30 points in profit. What are you on to do? You got to protect your cash to a certain extent. But what we have done on the European show, it's the last round of Italian games, the last round of Spanish games, and we have got thoughts and sort of leans on pretty much all 20 games. So there's a lot to go for. And don't forget the Serie A title race got moved forward to Friday night. That's why we've released the show a little bit earlier, because Napoli-Cagliari and the Inter game away at Como are now Friday night. It's a bit of a title decider, because if they finish on the same amount of points, there will be a playoff in Italy. It doesn't matter about goal difference. They have a playoff if they just finish on the same amount of points. And that match has got to be squeezed in ahead of Inter's Champions League final with Paris Saint-Germain. So it's a bit of a wild one, isn't it, really? Nish says, thanks very much. Excellent show. Steady bets. Cheers, fellas. I'm big on Alcaraz to win the French Open. Might go back in before Sunday. Alcaraz to win the French, Nigel?
Well, he's the man to beat. The draws helped him out massively compared to Sinner, but you've got to take a price. I mean, he's plus 110. I mean, that's plenty short enough, but he is the man to beat without a doubt.
Great stuff. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Live. Coming up a little bit later, Betting Weekly Hardball, all the latest MLB action, 2 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Betting Weekly Fast Break. There's been some fantastic conference finals recently. Doug has been absolutely crushing it, and he will be your host from 3 p.m. when it comes to all of the NBA selections, picks, and so on. But from myself and Nigel, that is your lot. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Good luck for now.